Welcome to another edition of Utopia Football Insider. Chris Ransom joined by the one and only Oren Shiri. And tonight we're going to be breaking down NFL Week 4. We're also going to be breaking down some college football.
Yeah, it's going to be a great show because we're actually into the fifth week of college football. So you kind of now get a good vision of where those, because they have a much shorter season than we do at the NFL level. So we'll go into detail with that as well. But we're first going to talk to the NFL. How about Thursday night's game, folks? You got the Cowboys and the Giants. It's at New York Stadium. Dallas has got a little two-game losing streak, but Dak Prescott is still impressing in the passing arena. I think he has about over 850 passing yards. So still top, got a good QB rating as well. I can't get that off my head right now. I do see Dallas putting up a fight here and coming up with a victory here. I think we talked about that a little bit off the show. So I do see Dallas pulling that out. I think it's going to be 27, let's say about 17. I'll give the Giants.
Yeah, I'm going with the Giants in the upset here. Malik Neighbors looked fantastic against the Browns. Kalen Carlson might be out at corner, and Deron Bland's out. So if those two are out and Diggs isn't on Neighbors is going to win every one-on-one matchup where he's not matched up against Diggs. And I think that's going to be the difference in this game. And I've got the Giants prevailing 20-19 in a defensive game. I like the under here. And I like the Giants to be victorious. And half of our staff, 2 of our 7 agree with me. The rest of our staff does have the Cowboys winning at the moment. Yeah, so majority still agrees with Oren, but we do have a few other people besides myself taking the Giants. I expected myself and maybe one other person to take the Giants. I'm kind of shocked 3 people took the Giants out of 7.
I mean, it is gonna. You got to remember, in the long run, it is a big rivalry game. It's one of the biggest rivalry games that we have in the NFL, and it can go either way. It could be a very close game. Could be a defensive game that we talk about. Dak Prescott and Daniel Jones, but they could be completely different and go a completely different direction, and because it is a rivalry game. And we'll see a little spat there once or twice there that, the Giants are coming off an impressive win that, you love to see, Malik Neighbors have a couple of touchdowns again. So we'll see what happens on that too as well. Going to be a fun game to watch Thursday night. It's an old rival battle. I thought about it. I didn't like what I saw on the plate, but actually it's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, it can't be any worse than last Thursday's game on Amazon Prime between the Jets and Patriots. I knew the Jets were going to win. I had them winning 35-3. It was 24-3, so I was off 11 points in the Jets, but Patriots getting a field goal, that was accurate. Okay, next game is Steelers-Colts. I was originally going to take the Colts, but Colts have multiple corners injured. It's not just Brent's. Their nickel corner, Kenny Moore, is also injured. So basically, Dallas Flowers is coming off an injury from last year, and Jalen Jones, who intercepted Caleb Williams twice, are their only healthy corners. I think that's going to matter against Pittsburgh. TJ Watt is a half a sack away from 100 sacks. He's at 99.5 career sacks. He's probably going to get his 100th sack against the Colts on Sunday. And Braden Smith, the Colts right tackle, did not practice. So even if he plays on Sunday, TJ Watt has the matchup advantage simply because, and look, the Colts have the number 1 pass blocking offensive line in the NFL, according to Pro Football Focus. So it's not like this Colts offensive line's a bunch of pushovers, but I would give Watt the advantage with Braden Smith not practicing and Watt just being a bigger star than Braden Smith. I would give Watt the advantage over Smith there. I'm not saying Watt's going to go off, but I do think this is going to be a lower scoring game. Works in Pittsburgh's favor. Pittsburgh's just a healthier team than the Colts right now. And I've got the Steelers winning 13-10 in a defensive game.
Well, I got a little bit higher score, but we'll get to that in a few seconds. Steelers are one of the only unbeaten teams, and you can't give praise to Justin Fields here, and not only their defense. I just feel I feel that Justin Fields is on the right path. Anthony Richardson isn't.
Yeah.
And the running, the Steelers look like they're on the right path. I think that's one of the contenders for a playoff spot. Chris, the Colts are not. They're going to be right now. Steelers are going to be 4-0, 21-14. That's my score. I mean, I'll take a 13. I'll give you your 13 points and minus maybe they're going to get 2 field goals and a 1 touchdown. But I do feel that the Steelers are going to win.
Yeah, I think the worst case scenario for the Steelers right now is they go 9-8 and they miss the playoffs. That's the worst case scenario for the Steelers. And right now,
well, I feel actually if they win 6 games in a row, which is not hard for them to do, this will be their 4th, with a two coming up. You're going to see more teams in the mix to try to get Russell Wilson. Not only Miami that we see here. People looking
they
at
beat
that.
Dallas, I think they can sneak in as the final wild card. But right now, I've got the Steelers, Browns, and Bengals all projected at 9-8 to end the year. And Pittsburgh's in the best position of any AFC North team right now. There's no question about that. Only one person has the Colts at the moment. Steelers are practically a lock. Saints, Falcons. This is a game. I think this was a game Oren and I agreed on, but Oren took zero pleasure in agreeing with me on Atlanta winning. But both these teams have a bunch of injuries. Both teams put their centers on injured reserve this week. Eric McCoy, Saints key center, on IR, and so is Drew Dahlman, the Falcons center. And Caleb McGarry, the Falcons right tackle, didn't practice. Cesar Ruiz, the Saints right guard, didn't practice. Both these teams' offensive lines are dinged up. But the thing that separates the Falcons from the Saints is the Falcons are about to enter the easiest portion of their strength of schedule versus New Orleans, versus Tampa, at Carolina, versus Seattle. I'm not saying they will win all those games, but it's certainly more favorable than what the Saints have to work with at Atlanta, at Kansas City. And I think that is a big reason why I think the Falcons prevail. The Saints really do need this win more than Atlanta. They get Tampa Bay at home, and they get the Broncos at home with Bo Nick, Sean Payton returning to New Orleans as the Broncos head coach in Week 7 on Thursday night. But yeah, the Saints' strength of schedule is much harder, in my opinion, than the Falcons. When both teams dealing with injuries on the offensive line, I like the Falcons. I'm going to go 24-19. Same score I had for last week's Falcons game against the Chiefs, but Falcons are on the winning end this time.
Well, this is another big rival game. I'm more impressed to watch this game. This is the morning game that I'm going to watch. It's morning for me. It's not 1 p.m. So this is the first game I really want to watch. This is basically the NFC South showdown. It's basically New Orleans. It's really 2 veteran quarterbacks that know the schemes, know the strategies. They've been there, maybe even their own Derek Carr, been with the Raiders, and Kirk Cousins been with Minnesota. They know how to run their offense relatively well. Even though they're on different teams now, both of them, they know how to win a game, both of them. And don't make excuses for that person. This is why they lost. It's because of their fault. Don't brush it off. Both of them been quarterbacks for quite some time now and know how to play the game. This game, I feel, is going to be won by mistakes and the defensive unit. So it's a team that makes the most mistakes loses. So I'm going to go with a close game, too. I'm going to take the 24 that you given the Falcons as well. I'm going to even go by a field goal only, 21. I'm going to give the Saints. But it can work both ways, like I said. Right now, Atlanta almost, even though they have only 1 win, they do look good. And I think it was such a close game that New Orleans had last week. They could even be a better team than we imagined if they correct the little mistakes that they had against Philadelphia last week. So
Yep.
let's see. It could be a really close game, actually.
Yeah, Bengals play the Panthers in Carolina. I'm going to take the Bengals to get their first win. I don't think the Panthers are going to walk over and die, though. This is going to they're going to put up a fight like they did against the Raiders. And they're not going to put up a butt whooping like they did against the Orange Raiders, but I think they will put up a fight. I think the Bengals, though, they have some injuries at defensive tackle. Amarius Mims is going to make his first start at right tackle with Trent Brown out for the year. I'm going to go Bengals 27, Panthers 17. Bengals win by 10, but the Panthers put up a fight in the first half before the Bengals pull away.
Mm-hmm.
You took the Panthers to win. Go ahead and break that down.
Well, I think they're clicking. Even there's a reason why they won last week. I just feel that they're clicking on. They just look like they had a formula going. Doesn't mean they're going to win by much. But the Bengals don't look like a good team either, Chris. Right? You know what I'm saying? Andy Dalton got something special going. You gave him the ball. He like these two other quarterbacks that I just spoke about, Cousins and Carr. Now you're giving the ball to Andy Dalton, even though he's on the same team that's got killed the 2 weeks before that. The strategy, his head, he knows how to conduct the offense a little bit better, which makes the defense strong. That's all. And the Raiders didn't expect that to happen. They prepared for another quarterback, a younger quarterback, even though he's young. and that's what happened. It's just a breakdown of the offense. Here, you're going to have a challenge because the Bengals are on the same page. So I just feel that it's going to be a close game, but they're going to a lot of offensive scoring. I'm going 27-24, actually. And I think I took the Panthers.
Yep, you did. You took the Panthers. You and Joey both picked the Panthers. The rest of us have the Saints. Rams, Bears. In Chicago, the Bears are getting Keenan Allen back. Sportsbooks have the Bears favored by a point. I think the Bears win and cover the spread. I'm going 23-20 Bears over the Rams. They win by a field goal in a defensive game.
Well, you go back and the Rams have two best wide receivers injured. And then you have their quarterback. It's not 100%. So what do you do as the Rams? What did you do as the Rams head coach here? How do I win? It's not like Caleb Williams is going to win the game yet. He already taken 13 sacks within 3 weeks. Rams defense is not bad. He's going to take another 5 sacks. So take it like that. You're going to plan around your defense. You're not going to score that many points, but neither will Chicago. I think the Rams win 20. I'm going to give the Rams 20 points to 13. They'll get that one touchdown, Caleb Williams, like he always does, and he'll come out with a few yards here and there. 217 yards. I'll protect the whole thing. But 5 sacks for the Rams defense.
Yeah,
Like they locked one person last year, and the defense is terrible. The defense is still there.
It's worth noting the Bears are with Keenan Allen coming back this week, the Bears would be the only NFL team with 0 injuries on both sides of the ball. But if Caleb Williams plays poorly, that won't matter in the grand scheme of things. But I think he will play better this week against the Rams because they have some injuries in the secondary, and it's a home game for the Bears. The last 2 games the Bears played were on the road. I mean, Caleb is going to go through those growing pains, but I think he steps up this week. Next game is Vikings and Packers, and how about the Vikings? They're 4-0. Jordan Love, limited practice, not a full practice yet, so going to be a game time decision once again. I'm going to go with the Vikings 17-16 in a defensive game in Green Bay, and they barely do enough to get the win. And I like the Vikings as they're one of my upset plays for week 4. I've got them beating the Packers by a point. This is a game we actually agreed on. The rest of our staff does of the Packers winning, though.
Still don't have Love back, folks. Love it should return soon. I don't think he's going to return this game, maybe next game. if he does, I may have to flip, and you will too.
Yeah. Packers aren't a lock yet. They could be, though, if Love is cleared to return.
Right. So you got weapons here. You got Donald, Justin Jefferson. I mean, they're just. I just feel that this matchup here is a little bit one-sided on offense, I should say. But they have a great series together. This is another rival game of the four that we're going to talk about. So so we already talked. This is the third one, and you're like, gotta pick a side here. I don't live in that region of the Midwest, but I know when you're there, the four teams that are in that division, you're a fan of one of those teams. And you could be across the street. One guy could like the Vikings. One guy could like Green Bay Packers. So I'm going to tell you, this is going to be a close game. Either way, it bounces. No matter what offense, it's a big time rivalry game like the Giants and the Dallas Cowboys that we spoke about earlier. So I'm going to take the Vikings here, 28-24.
Yeah, I definitely like the Vikings this week. I might stick with the Vikings no matter what, because I think one of the two NFC teams is going to be 4-0, whether it's the Vikings or the Seahawks, and the other's going to lose this week. But what's challenging is figuring out which of those teams ends up being that team. Jaguars play the Texans in Houston. This back in May, this was voted as the game of the week. Now the Jaguars are 0-3. The Texans are coming off their first loss to Minnesota. I'm going to go with the Texans 23-19 in a defensive game. I actually think the Jaguars are going to play semi-competitive football, but it's not going to be enough to beat the Texans because they're angry about being 0-3. Their owner went to the Bills game. He's angry about how the team played. There's rumors Doug Peterson's on the hot seat. I don't think he is, but the rumors are already buzzing that he is. I'm going to go with the Texans 23-19. And I think Jacksonville keeps this close, but the Texans pull away in the end.
Yeah, I mean, Jacksonville's in a different direction. No doubt about that. They will probably be one of the first 5 teams picking in the 2025 draft. I just feel the Texans are a better team. They could be a very good playoff contender as well. Yes, they had a meltdown last week, but that doesn't mean much. A lot of teams are going to have 1 or 2 losses, even 3 or 4. But here's Texans are going to. I think they're going to win 24-10, and a big win, and win by 2 touchdowns. Jacksonville is just on a separate page, Chris. Than
I think even if Jacksonville turns things around, they're 8-9 at the best, and I don't think they'll be picking in the top 5 of the draft. But I do think their 9-8 projection that I had at the beginning of the year, they're not going to be that good. I think right now the best case scenario for the Jaguars is 8-9.
8-9 is pretty good.
That's not.
I think. How about 4-13, buddy? Anyway,
they play the Colts next week. I think they will get their first win against the Colts at home, but that's going to be a brutal game if both quarterbacks don't step up for their respective teams.
Stand up, our podcasters can't see your face.
All right, there we go. Is that better?
Yeah.
All right. Next up, it is the Broncos and Jets. It's in New York, and the Jets are one of 3 locks on the site right now. I have the Jets in Survivor. I've already locked in on the Jets as my Survivor pick. And now I'm in 2 Survivor pools. I forgot to pick the Browns in 1 Survivor pool, which is why I'm still alive in that pool. I picked the Browns in the other and got eliminated. But yeah, I'm going with the Jets 21-10. I think they will score on Denver, but Denver's defense will make it challenging. And I think Bo Nix will have a lot of problems against this Jets defense. It's packed with stars like Will McDonald, the 4th, Quinnen Williams, Sauce Gardner. This Jets defense is going to cause some problems. Now, CJ Mosley is out. The Jets could be back this week, though, CJ Mosley. I haven't really done much research on the injury reports because I was trying to get all the picks up before we went live this evening on the site. But yeah, I like the Jets over the Broncos.
Yeah, I mean, Bo Nix is in a learning curve. We saw him excel last week. I don't think he's going to do every single week to be on top of his game like that. Like I said, they are playing a better defense. Jets defense had 7 sacks just last week. So you're going to go up against a rookie QB who doesn't have too much experience in the NFL. Not saying that the Broncos are bad. They are still the Donkeys. Yeah. But anyway, Jets pulls out a 24-13, and they get that. I don't know why I was going with 24 today so much, but I guess it's easy for me. 24-13 win. No, you know what? I'm going to go higher. Aaron Rodgers is going to pull out a nice win here. 30. Give him another touchdown. 31-13, squared away. And sorry about that, folks, in Bronco country. But I think the Jets will win this game. I think they're really getting in front. Aaron Rodgers looks like he's back in form, and I think they're going to have a very successful year.
Agreed. Jets are one of my wild card teams at the moment. Buccaneers, Eagles in Tampa. I'm going Tampa Bay 20-19. Eagles have a ton of injuries right now. A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, Lane Johnson. So their 2 best receivers and their right tackle are injured. Tampa Bay doesn't have Winfield or Cansey, but Vita Vea might come back this week. And if Vita Vea does, that's huge for Tampa. It means 2 of their 3 starters on that defensive line are back. One, Logan Hall is. He wasn't listed on the injury report. So I like the Buccaneers to defeat the Eagles 20-19 in a defensive game. And what's crazy is the majority of our staff does have Tampa Bay winning at the moment. Only Oren and Andrew have the Eagles winning. But why don't you tell us why the Eagles are going to win despite the injuries?
Yeah, I mean, you got to remember, Eagles just beat an undefeated team, even though they're 2-0. It's the Saints because it's only the 4th week. When the Eagles are on top, Hurts looks really good, even though they didn't score much. But if the defense holds Mayfield, he's not going to have a big performance against the Eagles defense. We all know that. I don't know why people are thinking that they're going to score high numbers. No, Baker Mayfield's not going to score a big number. I think it's going to be almost like what we saw in New Orleans, maybe a little bit different scoring, but I think it's going to be a close game. But I think the Eagles are going to win. It's just I forgot Saquon Barkley. Hello, people. Who's going to run the ball? Who's going to stop him on Tampa Bay? Who's going to stop Saquon Barkley? Tampa has not played somebody like him yet this season.
Yeah.
So I just feel you're giving Philadelphia is got the win this time around. I'm gonna I love keeping the scores, but I'll level it off a little bit. I'll give the Eagles 20 points only. I'm gonna give them 20 points, and then you'll love this 15. So they got the 15 from last week, the Eagles, but I'm going to give the 15 to the Bucks this time.
That is pretty good. We both have the under. The over-under is 47.5. We both think that's way too high of a line to set, and we both have the under in a defensive game. All right, moving on to the afternoon slate, 4:05, 4:25 games. Cardinals, Commanders. The Commanders travel to Arizona. A majority of our staff does have the Commanders winning. I'm going with the Cardinals despite the impressive Monday night win, but I do think the Commanders are going to keep this close, and I've got the Cardinals winning 30-20. I think this is going to be one of the higher scoring games in week. I think this is the only game so far where I have both teams scoring 20 points, and that should say something. So I do think this will be one of the higher scoring matchups.
I thought you had the Cardinals winning, right? You don't have.
I have the Cardinals beating Commanders 30-20 in a higher scoring matchup.
Right.
And I think Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to do his thing against this Washington secondary.
Yeah, I mean, the one good thing about Kyle Murray, he is making the wide receiver again that he was missing for the last 2 years, open now. This is what we're getting this. But Jalen Daniels looks marvelous. He's a great performer. I think he stays in line. That's why you're saying the close game. But you're right about one thing. Murray does have a little bit more experience. And I do see that possibly transitioning. I'm not going to change what I see, but you throw a couple of trickery plays, it's going to move to the Cardinals. If you throw an interception or a fumble, it's going to move to the Commanders. So I'm going to take that interception and fumbles and go with them. Very close game. I'm going to go 24-22. I know that's a weird score. I don't know how they would get to 22. So, maybe 21 in general, but I like the score, so I'm going to throw it in.
If it's 24-16, a team could attempt a 2-point conversion when they try to tie the game and miss it, and it could still be 24-22.
Right.
So Kyler Murray attempts a 2-point conversion. He misses it, and the Commanders win 24-22. So that is possible.
Yeah. I mean, everything's possible but the 1 point at the end of the game.
Yep.
It's not baseball.
Yep.
Yeah. But, yeah, that's why I just feel that I'm going to go with the defensive unit's going to win the game, and that's why I selected them, not because they can't stand on the offense. I think it's going to be kind of a shootout in some ways, but not that much of a shootout.
Yep.
Let's go to your favorite team, the New England Patriots. Go up to San Francisco. San Francisco's hurting. But can San Francisco put the late ship tricks before Halloween, or does these Patriots sink their ship?
I'm wondering if this is the game Tom Brady's going to call on Fox, because all the games Brady's called on Fox are Cowboys games. And, Brady grew up in San Francisco. I like the 49ers here, 28-13. If McCaffrey and Deebo Samuel were playing, I think you could make an argument for the 49ers getting 40 on the Patriots, but you can't. Patriots do have a good defense. They don't have to deal with McCaffrey or Deebo. Or Kittle missed last week too, so they don't have to deal with those three. I still don't trust Jacoby Brissett, and I think Purdy's going to make enough big plays to lead San Francisco to a win. 28-13 49ers. And I'm taking the over. Over-under's 40.5. I'm taking the Niners and the over.
Well, I think I had the Niners too.
Everybody did. This was one of our locks.
They're not going to sink that far yet. Brock Purdy's still there, one of the better quarterbacks in this league, I'd say. Still a young fella. You're like my old terms. This time, I think he gets a win. His supporting cast will support him. New England, they're going to be up and down. Talk about the 8 and 9 teams. That's one of them, Chris. They have 49ers has great supporting cast on the wide receivers. Deebo Samuel, George Kittle. They don't have to have their major running back. They still have.
Deebo's on IR with McCaffrey, and Kittle missed week 3. Kittle might be back this week, but I don't think it'll matter because the Patriots aren't going to score enough to keep up with San Francisco.
Well, I'm just saying they're both coming back. I think they are. Are they coming back? No.
Deebo's on IR with McCaffrey. I think Kittle might be back this week.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No worries, but we both agree the Niners are going to beat the Patriots regardless. The Chiefs play the Chargers. No Justin Herbert, no Rashawn Slater at left tackle, no Joe Alt at right tackle. Both got MRIs after the Steeler game. They didn't get injured during the game, but they got MRIs after the game. Both have been ruled out for this week, and Bosa's out this week too. So the Chargers' 2 best offensive tackles, and their best edge rusher, Joey Bosa, all inactive against the Chiefs. So, I mean, that's just I had the Chiefs winning 28-24 before that. I'm gonna go with I'm gonna deduct 10 points from the Chargers for their offensive injuries. I'm gonna go with 28-14 now. The Chargers find a way to get 14 points despite having second team offensive tackles and a second team quarterback, because the over-under is 43. I'm going to go with the under, but I'm going to go 28-14. And the Chiefs win by 2 touchdowns, but it's closer than the Chiefs would like. Because if Herbert's out and Chargers' 2 offensive tackles are both out, you're expecting to win 28-0 or 28-6. I think the Chargers, even with their backup, still score 14 points. And I think Dobbins has some success on the ground, but it's just not enough to beat the Chiefs, who are a well-oiled machine when clicking on all cylinders. The problem is they haven't been clicking. They've been barely coasting by in a lot of these games. But I'm going to take the Chiefs to win against the Chargers 28-14.
Well, I'm not going to say much. All I have to say is the refs suck when they coach. I'm not going to get into detail. But when we have to watch the Chiefs game here anyway, even though Justin Herbert may or may not play. Hopefully he gets healthy enough to play, because that's going to make a big difference in the offense for the Chargers. Los Angeles can pull an upset here. I would love it, but I doubt it. I'm going to give them, I'm going to have an 11-point difference, not 2 touchdowns. I'm going to say 24-13, like for the other people. But, Chargers may get lucky, do some tricks. They still got one of the best coaches, Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah, Sean Smith, who called the AFC title game between the Chiefs and Ravens last year, is refereeing this Chiefs-Chargers game. So,
boy.
You can go to Football Zebras and look up the referee assignments. That's how I'm able to find this out. But yeah, Sean Smith, he called the AFC title between the Chiefs and Ravens. He's calling this game between the Chiefs and Chargers. So,
well, the thing is, Chris, it's like at least one play or 1 or 2 plays towards the end of the game. If the Chiefs are behind or it's a close game, I guarantee you the other team will not get called, or the Chiefs won't get called, or whatever. It's just been like that the last 3-4 games that we saw, and it's kind of not fair. And I
thought last week's game was fairly officiated for the first 3 quarters, but it wasn't fairly officiated at the end of the 4th quarter on the final drive. And that's been the recurring theme with a lot of these Chiefs wins as of late, even dating back to the playoffs.
Correct. That's what I was saying. So anyway, let's move to the one more. We have the Cleveland Browns and the Raiders.
Yep.
So the Browns, who are on a different path of every team, I think. Deshaun Watson taking 16 sacks. He's a good quarterback, but the line is horrible. And they're going up against him. If Max Crosby comes back, they're going up against one of the best lines. Maybe the secondary isn't that great, but the line is. So I see this could be a messy situation that, yes, it was a messy situation for the Raiders last week in Carolina that was unpredictable. Pierce, sit up, Chris. Pierce, went and said, hey, I'm calling out the individuals that weren't tackling, they weren't doing this, they weren't doing that. Well, if I were a coach, I'd probably do the same thing, because if you're not doing your assignment, bye-bye, walk. We'll go get somebody else that will. And I think that's what he was doing on the defensive side of the thing. So you're going to see a lot of people tackling, a lot of people try to get the ball on the Raiders side. So it's going to be a miserable thing to be a Browns fan for this game, because the defense knows it doesn't even matter how good Gardner Minshew comes in and tries to play. The defense wants to win this game. And be ready when you have a defensive unit want to win a game.
When
The
Jack
offense,
Jones is on, the Raiders win games. Because I remember Jack Jones being on the Patriots during his rookie year and even part of last year. When Jack Jones is on, you have a chance to steal a game on the road. And when Jack Jones is not on, he makes mistakes. He makes bad plays. He gets exposed in coverage. And your team usually loses. And I
anyway,
think he's going to be off after being off against the Panthers. I think that continues this week against the Browns. I like the Browns by 2 touchdowns. Same score as Chiefs Chargers game, 28-14.
I'll put money on that they take it more than that. But anyway, I'll give you $200 if they win by 2 touchdowns. I will.
I'm taking
my money.
I'm taking the Browns by 2 touchdowns. You heard that correctly.
I'll take the Raiders by 5. Anyway, no, seriously, Chris, they're not going to win by 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
I guarantee that. I don't know why you even thought of that, but that's okay. I never put your Patriots down that much, but it's okay. Anyway, my score is going to be 35 Raiders. No, just kidding. They don't have the chance to get 35 points. But because they do have, but I'm going to say 27. We'll take 27 Raiders. I'd say 16 points for the Browns. Don't fall asleep on me.
I'm not falling asleep. I yawn sometimes, but it's not. I think it's just I don't pass out when I yawn. Sometimes I yawn, but I usually do not pass out when I yawn. So
no, I'm just kidding.
Next,
I feel that going to go into details like which defensive star is going to make it. If Max Crosby comes back, he will play much better than Myles Garrett. And if they allow this many sacks, Chris, that's going to happen. The Raiders had one bad game. I get it, out of the 3 games. Even though they lost 2, the one bad game, maybe they didn't. There's a lot of things that weren't unacceptable. This is why I'm saying they're going to fix a lot of those mistakes. Every team looks at it and sees what needs to be fixed. That's why I don't think they're going to fall back that many points.
Yeah, when Joey was texting me his winner for this game this morning, he said both teams suck. That was his response to picking a winner for Browns Raiders. I thought that was funny. But moving on, we've got 3 more.
But let's just say you're gonna. Never mind. I can go on. Okay, Kansas City and Buffalo Bills and the Baltimore Ravens. A Sunday night game. I love this game. It's one of the better matchups that we've seen all year on a Sunday night so far. The Bills are coming off a short week. Didn't we just see them a few days ago?
Yeah, they slaughtered Jacksonville in the first half. I think that they win this game, but it's going to be a close game. I'm going to go 27-23 Bills, and I've got Buffalo winning by 4 against the Ravens.
Yeah, I mean, you have Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson on the other side of the fence, and they're smooth. And you got Josh Allen, James Cook on the other side. So you got a very good matchup. This is a very good offensive battle, defensive battle on all ends. I took the Bills as well. I like the Ravens, but I just feel that Josh Allen will put up the numbers again. So I see probably he's going to get 4 touchdowns and 2 field goals. So I'm going to say 34-24. We'll take those 2, take a 10-point difference.
Bills by double digits. Spicy. I like that. I mean, only one person has the Ravens beating the Bills. I do think the Ravens will get their revenge on the Bills in the playoffs. Maybe the AFC Championship if one of these teams knocks out the Chiefs. But it's too early to proclaim that. On to the Monday night games. Here we go from an amazing Sunday night game to an awful Monday night game. Will Levis versus Skylar Thompson. If Skylar Thompson is out, third-string quarterback Tim Boyle will start for Miami. This is just the Monday night flex rule, it's not applicable until week 14 of the season. It's only week 4, so the game's not going to be flexed. And I like the Dolphins 20-16, even with a third-string quarterback over the Titans. And I think Will Levis loses again, and he gets benched for Mason Rudolph after this game.
Talk about a game that sucks. These are the two teams that suck right now. So Tennessee has one of the highest turnover ratios right now. They're not getting that much to say with Will Levis. Skylar Thomas, whatever, starting. Gosh, do we really have to watch and go through this Monday night game? I think we should all take a vacation on protesting. We're going to have it
on ESPN, but the other game, Seattle-Detroit, is on ABC 30 minutes after.
Yeah, by the time it reaches 8:00, or basically it'll be, everybody's going to go and watch the other game. Why would you stay on ESPN for this crap? They should actually take one of the Sunday games and move with the Monday night. Oh, anyway, they'll never do that, but they should.
Yeah, I would flex out Cardinals Commanders with Titans Dolphins, but we already had the Commanders on Monday night, and I think if they flex this game out, they'd have to put it in a 1 p.m. or 4:05 slot. And honestly, I would take they've already put Eagles Buccaneers on Monday night. If I had to flex a game, I would probably pick
Philadelphia and the Tampa.
Philadelphia, Tampa is one option. That's probably the best option. There's not a lot of great options this week, unfortunately. With Herbert's injury, there's not a lot of great options to flex out for this game.
Well, New Orleans Saints and Falcons. But
Saints-Falcons actually would be my choice, those games.
But anyway, let's go to the other one that both of us do enjoy.
Then we'll talk college football. It's Seahawks. It's Lions. It's in Detroit. I like the Dan Campbell. He's 0-2 in his last 2 games against the Seahawks, but that was against Pete Carroll. He's coaching against Mike McDonald. 24-17. I like the Lions by a touchdown.
Seahawks defense, which has allowed only 14 points a game, has been pretty much a key starting point here the last 3 games. They are one of the only undefeated teams in NFC. And the Lions are dealing with a couple injuries, bro.
Yep.
Including Sam De La Porta. I don't know if I pronounced that right.
Laporta got injured in week 3. I think he'll be back, though, for this game, but we'll see.
And I just feel that Detroit is not the same team that they were last year so far. It could change. It is in Detroit. But I just feel like Seattle's going to win, keep it going, be 4-0, and they're going to win 20 in a close battle. It's 28-24.
You did pick Detroit earlier. You're changing to Seattle.
I'm switching. Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. All right. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting week 4 in the NFL for sure. I think Aiden Hutchinson could be a difference maker. Jared Goff, Geno Smith. These games the last 2 years have been high scoring. I think this game will be a defensive game, though. But yeah, it's going to be interesting.
When we talk about Geno Smith, and Jared Goff. It was wonderful. They played up against each other a couple of times already, correct? I really feel that this is going to be a battle. It's not a true rival, but it is a game where you have 2 veterans going up against each other. You have a couple of injuries, yes, on the Lions, but I don't think that's going to play too much of a factor. That's why you're going to have a close battle. I just decided to take I was thinking about, hey, if Goff can get Amon-Ra St. Brown moving on their tangent, start clicking, then the Lions will win. But I don't know. I guess I want to go. I have the feeling that the Seattle are going to stay and keep it 4-0.
Yeah.
Well, folks, let's move to college.
We've got 3 exciting games. I'm gonna start with the night game, the 10 p.m. game, Washington State, Boise State, and I like Boise State. I like Ashton Jeanty to run wild, and I like the Broncos to win this game over. I like the Broncos to win this game over the I like the Boise State Broncos to defeat the Washington State Cougars.
Where is this? Where is you're
It's
gonna
in
play?
Boise, Idaho.
Well, it's gonna be nice to have the Big 12 again. They have the logo there, by the way, already embedded. It's actually cool, pretty cool to see that, even though they haven't officially joined. But Utah State was announced yesterday. Now they have 7 official teams, and me and Chris were talking off the air that the 5 other teams that may or may not join, and some, filling in the holes and see what happens, and which teams may or may not go. And we were talking about UNLV, possibly Nevada, South Dakota State. I would love to have Cal and Stanford back, but I really highly doubt it. But because they're probably getting much more money from the ACC, but it just makes no sense for them to go over 2,000 miles for some of the smaller type of programs like a volleyball or something like that. You have your soccer, you have your basketball, and you have your football, but a tennis program to go across the country to just play, it just boggles my mind that Cal and Stafford would do that. Not even play anybody in their arena other than themselves. But we'll go that in another date. Maybe Chris and I could have a conversation on that type of subject. In this game, I really like the undefeated team. I'm going to take Washington State Cougs here, and even though it's going to be welcome to the Pac-12, bro. Hey, little bro, we've been here longer than you, and we're gonna upset you here and win the game.
Yeah, I hope it turns into a big rivalry with Boise moving to the Pac-12. I think that'd be kind of cool. And the next game is Illinois and Penn State on Happy Valley. I'm going to take Penn State to win, but Illinois, they are capable of beating Penn State. I remember watching an Illinois-Penn State game a few years ago where Illinois beat Penn State in overtime. They are capable of beating Penn State, and their upset win over Nebraska last week was really impressive.
Yeah, I mean, the great game over Nebraska was great and by far unexpected. But could that be just you are in Happy Valley here? You're in. I mean, come on. Penn State is probably heavy favored. I haven't looked at the line here, but Illinois quarterback Luke Alkmayer is probably one of the best right now that I've seen. I just feel it's going to be a closer game than probably. It's not going to be a blowout. People probably have Penn State squashing Illinois because that's what they're used to. Don't be like that. You got unless Penn State. I haven't seen their defense this year, to be honest, so I don't know. But I see Illinois still losing, but I see a closer battle than most people would think. So I'm going to take 35-22. Basically, Penn State wins. And sorry, Illinois fans.
I've got a similar, almost identical score. Penn State 35, Illinois 21. The spread for Penn State is -18, so they're expected to win by 19 in order to cover the spread. I think the Illini cover the spread too, Oren.
Yeah, I just feel that it's going to be a great game to watch and exciting. Illinois will go to a bowl game, but right now their ranking, they're lucky they're 19. but they're still playing a top 10 school, and Penn State is still one of the three that I see being a top 10. Now, if Illinois pulls out an upset, all the power to them. Put them in the top 10, please. Don't let them sit at 19. And don't let them sit like at 15 or 13. Yeah,
if they beat
have to be. Yeah, right.
Because I've got Penn State at 10 right now behind Oregon in my top 12. If they beat Penn State, they're the number 10 team in the country for me. There's not a argument from me on that.
Let's go to the 7:30 game. I love this game. This is like a playoff game within itself, and it still could be a playoff game, even though there are kind of rivals.
Yep.
Georgia goes into Alabama. Number 2, number 4, really number 1 and number 1. They haven't lost yet. So the winner takes it all. The winner takes the prize, as they say. Not only may win the SEC, but may win the whole championship. So, hands down to head coach Kalen Dober at the moment. Does Kirby Smart move and their Bulldogs? And
I like Alabama in this game. I think they beat Georgia.
Saban retired, but the Tide I think the Tide knocks off Georgia, and he will. Monroe will become the favorite right here to win the Heisman after this game. Very close game, 34-27. I got Bama winning this as well.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with a defensive game, 21-13, Alabama over Georgia. But yeah, I agree. We both have Bama winning. And I think this might be the best game of the season for college football so far. But yeah, we've got that.
Well, USC and Michigan was supposed to be a better game, but it sucked.
USC Michigan was a very underwhelming game. Texas Michigan was supposed to be good, but that game did suck too.
But anyway, yeah. But there's a couple of teams right now, which is nice about the 5th week, and this is what I was saying. I'm not going to mention teams because then I'll get a little bit on a different tangent. But there's a couple of games you guys can watch. A couple schools on the verge of entering the top 25. They're not ranked yet, but they have like 3 wins, 1 loss teams. And if you look at the 3 wins, 1 loss teams, they're going to be 4 win and 1 loss teams too when you get in that. And they're going to be the ones that are going to rank from the ones that are going to be losing this week. And that's going to be, things to come by and things to watch as well. And there's a couple of ones that I have in my mind, not only Colorado, Chris, but it's just there. I just feel there's a couple of schools that will be in the top 25 that are not in the top 25 that are pursuit going to have. They're the teams that are going to be the 8 and 9 team wins that are going to get into bowl games. They're going to fall probably in the 19 through 25 range. All season and hold that place. And it may happen to Illinois here if they lose.
Yep.
But, a lot of people may say, well, they haven't played anybody good yet. Like Washington State, we talked about them earlier. They haven't played anybody good. Yeah, but the division that they're in, this is who they play. They're not going to play anybody incredibly good. It's simple as that.
Yep.
And that's the thing is, so Washington State, I looked at their schedule, they can win outright and go to the playoffs. Nobody thought about that. Pac-12 is still a playoff team, specifically with the 12 teams.
Yeah, I think if they went undefeated, they might be eligible for a top 4 seed because even though they're in the Pac-2, if they went undefeated, I think they would be eligible for a top 2 seed. in
I
the
mean, yeah,
top 4 seed.
Right. I mean, they still play a lot of the teams in the Mountain West. They still play. I still think they play. Do they play Cal and Stanford? I'm not sure.
I don't think so.
Yeah, so they play a lot of the teams from the Mountain West, no matter what. But they'll win. I feel they can win all of them. That's why I say they're going to win Boise State too. I don't know who else they're playing. The ones in the non-divisional games, they pretty much won. So, I mean, I don't know. They have they're playing. I know they play San Diego State and all those. Those little, you're saying little schools, but they still could be undefeated.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, Boise State. Look who they won when they played Oklahoma 17 years ago when we talked about it. Anyway, do we have a few more minutes? We have 5 more minutes.
We have a few more minutes.
Let's go back to that subject that we talked about since we have a college. Let's go back to it really quick. And we would like to get the viewers' point of view. Also, maybe Chris can write.
I got something in the chat room here from a streamer on Killshot. My Giants will win. Trevon Diggs. I'm not going to say this word. It's a cuss word. He will be put in a blender and get lost chasing neighbors. I thought that was a hilarious comment about the blender anyway, but yeah.
Let's chop them down. Yeah, I mean, all the NFL games are going to be like you don't know what to expect in an NFL game anymore, other than the Chiefs. Because we had like the Raiders, we didn't know we were going to. They kind of Carolina shocked them, and you did not know that Saints in the Philly game was going to be close as well. So any game, any time. No matter what team you're playing, and especially in a rival game like the Giants and the Cowboys, if you're a Giant fan, I give all the power to you, man. You better keep the faith. And yes, go with them because you root for your team in a rival and you want them to win and go out with it. Yeah. And I hope, Daniel Jones puts a surprise win and has 42-10 on your part, man. Okay, but we just give our predictions and what we feel that what's going to happen here. So we have about 2.5 minutes. I wanted to talk to Chris about the what other teams he's going to be are going to the Pac-12. There's about 5 others that may or may not join. And we mentioned UNLV. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So do you think they go back and try to get UNLV, or do they go because Tulane and Memphis negated that?
I think they will go after UNLV. I think because UNLV, I think they will join the Pac-12 with a lot of these other teams like Utah State, Gonzaga, Boise State. I do think they will join that conference, but I'm not sure who they'd go after next.
Right. I mean, Gonzaga is interesting because there's not all the sports there, but yes, San Jose State is another Mountain West team that they can grab, and they should. I'm surprised they haven't done that yet. That would give them a lot of money, San Jose State, and Nevada. And Nevada had a couple of NFL players come out of that school not too long ago. Anyway, we're off. Have a great week. Enjoy the NFL tomorrow night and that battle that the gentleman just spoke about. Have a great weekend on Sunday where you catch all the games. Saturday is the college games. And we're out of here.